Myself, Dr. Hanuman Prasad. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, IARE, located at Dundigal. The topic I am going to discuss in today's session is from third module, Gender and Labor. And the name of the topic that I am going to discuss in today's session is about work, employment, occupation and labor. The contents in today's topic are work, occupation, employment, categorization of employment by NSSO, categorization of employment by Census of India, labor, and finally references. Let's look at all these contents one by one in detail. The first content is work. What is work? So many people confuse in defining work. Work is defined as participation, which can be physical or mental in nature. Either it is physical or mental in nature. In any economically productive activity. Any economically productive activity. With or without receiving any kind of compensation or wage in cash or kind. With or without. It is not mandatory to have the compensation or wage. Okay? With or without receiving any kind of compensation or wage, either in cash or in kind. Okay? So this is what is the exact definition of work. Once again repeating, work is defined as participation, which can be either physical or mental in nature, in any economically productive activity, with or without receiving any kind of compensation or wage in cash or in kind. Okay, so this is what is the exact definition of work. National Sample Survey Organization, abbreviated as NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization. It has defined work as gainful activity that is pursued for pay, profit or family gain. So according to NSSO, work is defined as gainful activity that is pursued for pay, profit or family gain. Okay. So NSSO defined the work in terms of pay, means compensation in cash or wage in cash. Okay. So with receiving compensation in cash. So that is what NSSO has defined about the work. Okay. NSSO defined work as gainful activity that is pursued for pay, profit or family gain. It is an activity, it means work. Work is an activity which results in the production of goods and services. Okay. So what it finally results? The production of goods and services for exchange. Okay. So work is an activity that results in the production of goods and services with exchange, for exchange. Okay. I hope this is clear to understand about work. So finally, in conclusion, work is an activity that results in the production of goods and services for exchange. Okay. I hope it is clear to all of you. Let's go to the next content, occupation. What is occupation? Occupation is a person's usual or principal work, especially as a means of earning a living. So means for living what you are earning. So that is what is occupation. Okay? Occupation is a person's usual or principal work, especially as means of earning a living. As means of earning a living. Okay. So this is how occupation can be defined. It is a person's usual or principal work, especially as a means of earning a living. For living, what you are earning. Okay. And as a part of your occupation, you are earning that money. Okay. So that is why it is the person's usual or principal work as a means of earning a living. I hope this is clear to all of you. Next, one's role in society, often a regular activity performed. Okay, occupation is one's role in society, often a regular activity performed. Okay, occupation means there is a regular activity that is being performed every day. Okay, so that is one's role in the society. So what is your occupation? In general, people will ask. Okay, then you will say what you usually do. What is your regular activity? I am a teacher. So that is my occupation. I am a professor. That is my occupation. Teacher is school level and professor is university level. Okay. So I hope this is clear to you. It corresponds or it represents one's role in the society. Okay. That is being performed as a regular activity. Okay. And in terms of protest, it is a political demonstration by holding public or symbolic spaces. In terms of protest, occupation is a political demonstration by holding public or symbolic spaces. Okay, so this is in terms of protest. Occupation is a political demonstration by holding public or symbolic spacing. Public or symbolic spaces. Yes. And in terms of military, occupation is a martial control of territory. What is occupation in terms of military? Martial control of territory. So means you have to control the enemies. You have to control the opposite army. Okay. So that is what is the occupation in terms of military. So it is the martial control of territory. Okay. Whatever the region you are assigned as a military employee, then your occupation is to control the territory without any damage, without any loss of life. Okay. So that is what is occupation in terms of military. It is a martial control of territory. Okay. Next, it can be either paid or unpaid activity. So no need to be paid. It may be unpaid also. Okay. It can be either paid or unpaid activity. It can include, what are the things that are included in occupation? Either business or your profession, regular profession. My profession is professor. I'm a professor. Okay, like that. So in employment, so what is your employment? Or a vocation, means what is your role in society as regular activity. Okay. So these are the things that are included in occupation, either business or profession or employment or vocation. Okay. So I hope this is clear to all of you about occupation. Now let's look at the next content. Employment. Employment. What is employment? Employment is commonly defined as a state of being in paid work by an individual. Okay, it is defined as a state of being in paid work by an individual. Employment is defined as a state of being in paid work by an individual. Okay, who is paying? By an individual. Missions are not paying. Individual persons are only paying. So, it is a state of being in paid work by an individual. Now, according to a famous economist, Cooley, employment is not a simple term denoting mere holding of a job for which a wage is paid or operating one's own business. So according to the famous economist Cooley, what he said about employment, it is not a simple term denoting mere holding of a job for which a wage is paid or operating one's own business. It is not just mere holding, not just mere means only. Okay, it's not just. Okay, it's not a simple term denoting only just holding of a job for which a wage is paid or operating one's own business. It is not the employment. Okay, so rather, then what is it? Rather, it signifies, it means employment. Employment signifies who is doing what under the circumstances a person most wants to do. Means according to his wish, according to one's wish, what he is doing. Okay, that is under his favorable circumstances. Okay, means what he wished to do. If he is doing that, then that is the actual definition of, or that is the actual representation of employment, according to the famous economist Cooley. It's not just holding a job for a wage is paid, for which a wage is paid, or one's operating one's own business. It's not that. It signifies who is doing what under circumstances a person most wants to do. He wishes to do that. He is willing to do that. Means he is passionate in doing that. So then only it is considered as employment. Okay. So then only such a person is considered to be fully employed. Fully employed, partially employed. Partially employed means a person doesn't want to do it, but forcefully doing it for money or whatever it is. Then it is called, it is not complete employment. It is partial. So he is not willing to do. Just for the sake of money he is doing. So then in that case, we cannot say that is a fully employed state. Okay? A state of being in paid work by an individual. But what kind of state? Willing state. What kind of state? Fully willing state. That point should be noted. Okay? So when a person is doing what he wishes to do, what he wants to do. Okay? So under the circumstances in his favorable manner, then only such person is considered to be fully employed. Okay? I hope this is clear about the basic terms of employment. Now we will continue the next content. That is categorization of employment by National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO. According to NSSO, employment is in three categories. According to National Sample Survey Organization, employment is in three categories. The first category is self-employed category. First category is self-employed. What is self-employed category? It represents the state of working for oneself rather than an employer. Okay? So state of working for oneself. He is working for himself rather than an employer. Not like employer. If you take an employer, he works for an institution or an organization where he is working. Okay? But self-employed is not like that. It is a state of working for oneself. Means his own business, his own thing, whatever he is doing, that is for his own sake. Not for any organization or not for any institution. Okay? The examples include salesperson, insurance agents, etc. Okay? So these are all coming under self-employed state, the state of working for oneself rather than an employer. The examples are salespersons, insurance agents, and own business are all coming under self-employed. Now the second category according to National Sample Survey of Organization is employed on regular ways. So workers hired by employers on a permanent basis. What does it mean? Workers hired by employers on a permanent basis, on a regular basis, on a permanent basis, which are hired by employers, means those who are giving employment are called employers. Okay, so workers hired by employers on a permanent or regular basis and are paid regular salaries or wages for their work. Okay, these are considered as the employed on regular wage. So these are the workers hired by employers, means those who are giving employment on a permanent or regular basis and are paid regular salary or regular wages for their work. Okay, whatever the work they have performed, they will be paid regular salaries. Okay, and these are hired by employers on a permanent or regular basis. And the examples include chartered accountants, teachers, etc. Okay, the examples of employed on regular wage include teachers, chartered accountants, etc. Okay, so for example, I am working in IARE. So I am considered as an employee on regular wage. Okay, so my category is employed on regular wage according to National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO. I hope this is clear to all of you. Yes, the third category according to NSSO is employed on casual wage. What is employed on casual wage? These are the workers not hired by employers. These are the workers not hired by employers on a regular basis. These are the workers but not hired by employers on a regular basis. These are not hired by the employers. Then they do not enjoy social security benefits like provident fund, gratuity, etc. Okay, since they are not on regular basis or they are not on regular wage, they do not enjoy social security benefits. What are the social security benefits? Examples: provident fund, gratuity, etc. Okay, they are generally unskilled workers. They are generally considered unskilled because they are not on regular wage. They are not on permanent basis. They are not on regular basis. So they are only employed on casual wage. Okay, so these are generally considered unskilled workers. The examples include workers working at construction site. So those who are working at construction site, there will be construction manager. So they will hire the workers, but these are not hired by the employers. Okay, so and they will be paid for that particular time, either 1 hour or 2 hours or whole day. They will be paid for that, and it may not be regular. It may be twice in a month, thrice in a month, or once in a month. So depending on the work at the particular construction site. This is one of the examples. Okay, so employed on casual wage are not hired by the employers on regular basis. They do not enjoy the social security benefits like provident fund, gratuity, etc. These are generally considered unskilled workers, but need not be. So depending on the family conditions, sometimes people has to go for that when there is no vacancy in employment on regular basis. Yeah, in that case, skilled persons can also go to this, but in general, they are considered unskilled workers. Okay, the examples are workers working at construction site. I hope the categorization of employment by National Sample Survey Organization is clear to all of you. Now let's look at the next content. Categorization of employment by Census of India. So now Census of India has categorized employment into again 3 categories. NSSO categorized employment into 3 categories. Employed on regular wage, employed on casual wage, and third one is self-employed. Okay, and according to Census of India, employment is also in 3 categories. Here also employment is in 3 categories. The first category is main workers. What are main workers? Who are main workers? A person who works for major part of the reference period of 1 year. A person who works for major part of the reference period of 1 year. So if you consider 1 year as the reference period, then a person who works for major part of the reference period, that is 6 months or more, usually more than 6 months, then it is major period of the year, right? So that is reference period. Reference period is fixed as 1 year. Then a person who is working more than a major part of the reference year, means more than 6 months, for the economic productivity. For what purpose? Economic productivity. Means for economic growth of the particular company or particular organization or particular institution. Okay. Now the second category according to Census of India is marginal workers. Second category of employment is marginal workers. Who is marginal worker? A person who doesn't work for major part of the reference period of 1 year. Who doesn't work for major part of the reference period of 1 year. Then how many days or how many months he will work? He will work less than 6 months for economic productivity. Okay. A person who works for major part of the reference period of 1 year are considered main workers. Okay. And the persons who doesn't work for major part of the reference period of 1 year, that is less than 6 months, are considered to be marginal workers. Okay. Major part of reference period working persons are main workers, and minor part, or you cannot say minor part, you can say who doesn't work for major part of the reference period of 1 year are considered to be marginal workers, means less than 6 months, usually less than 6 months, and main workers work for more than 6 months. Okay. So that is how you can categorize employment according to Census of India. And the third category is non-workers. Who is non-worker? A person who doesn't work at all during the reference period of 1 year. A person who doesn't work at all. Okay, they are just coming and going and doesn't perform any work. Then they are considered as non-workers. Okay, those who contribute major part of the reference period are main workers. Those who do not contribute major part but less than 6 months are considered as marginal workers. Those who do not work at all are considered as non-workers. Okay, and these three categories are of employment are done by Census of India. Okay, I hope this is clear about the categorization of employment by NSSO and Census of India. NSSO categorizes employment into three types. First one self-employed, second one employed on regular wage or regular pay, and third one employed on casual wage. And according to Census of India, employment is also three types: main workers, marginal workers, and non-workers. Okay, I hope this is clear to all of you. Let's look at the next content, labor. What is labor? See, I think you are observing work, employment, occupation, labor. These are all similar words. But here you are understanding what is the difference between these things in the gender and labor as a part of gender sensitization. Okay. So labor is a prime factor of production. What is labor? It is a prime or primary factor of production. Labor is a prime or primary factor of production. The size of a nation's labor force is determined by the size of its adult population. Okay, what you are understanding by this? The size of nation's labor force is determined by the size of its adult population. Means adult people can only contribute in labor. Okay, that is why size of a nation's labor force is determined by size of its adult population. Adult population. Adult population means those who are able to work. Adults means elders. Okay, so size of adult population. Its adult population. population. Its adult population means whatever the nation we are talking about. If we are talking about India, in India, how many adult population is there? What is the adult population? So that is the India's labor force determination. Okay, India's labor force is determined by the size of India's adult population. Okay, and the extent to which the adults are either working or are offered or prepared to offer their labor for wages. Okay, so the size of nation's labor force also depends on the extent to which the adults are either working or are prepared to offer their labor for wages, either working currently or they are prepared to offer their labor for wages. Okay, so either working or ready to work. Prepared to offer means what? What it indicates? It indicates ready to work. Ready to work. So I hope this is clear. Next, labor force participation rate. Labor force participation rate. Labor force participation rate is the number of population that supplies their labor services. The number of population that supplies their labor services is nothing but the labor force participation rate. So what you are understanding here? What is labor force participation rate? What is labor force participation rate? Labor force participation rate is the number of population that supplies their labor services. Okay, labor force participation rate is the number of population that supplies their labor services. Okay, and next, it is a fact to accept that feminine gender means female are more as labor compared to the masculine gender means male. So means the general fact is that one should accept that feminine gender, female are more as labor, female are working as laborers compared to, they are more in number compared to the masculine gender, means compared to the males. Okay, so that is the general observation that one should accept. Okay, so this is all about work, occupation, employment, categorization employment by National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO, Census of India, and finally labor. Okay, the references I have followed are Gender Studies by Kadambari and Gender Sensitization by Rajalakshmi Kalyani, and finally there is a site, website data.gov.in/catalog/main workers, marginal workers, non-workers, and those marginal workers, non-workers. Okay, so from this website also some data is taken. So these are all the references that I have followed. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.